going on, everybody? Welcome back. We've got to talk about this mess with Pym Tech and this weird implementation of the player feedback, and basically how Scopely just completely mishandled the feedback and it was a mess. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but we're going to talk about some good stuff that came through with this blog post. And prepare for symbiosis. Grab your flashlight and EMF detector because we got a high-stakes paranormal investigation coming up that you don't want to miss. And it goes on, and we've got this new orb coming called Bounty Orbs. And honestly, these Bounty Orbs sound great. And the first way we're going to be able to get these is through a Parasitic Symbiosis milestone, where you use your symbiotes in Arena, Blitz, and Raids to earn points and hit daily milestones. I mean, that one's going to be pretty easy. We're already using symbiotes in Raid anyways because they're nuts and they're fantastic in Raids. So I imagine this is probably going to be a very easy event for most players to clear, granted that they do have a full team of symbiotes. But yeah, so this sounds like it's going to be pretty good. The Bounty Orb is going to be a way for us to get like the new mini uniques for tier 15, also a way to get the mini uniques for tier 14 as well. Mini uniques are kind of rare, so the fact that we're getting more of them is very helpful. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad that they're giving us more access to those. Though if we could get some more access to some of those superior basic catalysts as well, that'd be helpful too. But yeah, I'm glad to see they're doing this. Hopefully this is going to be this is really going to help with that gear crunch at least a little bit. We'll have to see. Time will tell, and we'll have to see what the Bounty Orbs drop themselves. We do have upcoming Blitz with Winter Soldier, and then Ghost is coming in the Quantum Snare Blitz. The letter for the game that originally came out said that she was be showing up the 24th, and this is actually gonna be the 17th, so it's a week early. So I guess she's coming the 17th and the 24th for the Blitz. We'll see how that rolls out as well. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that we are getting the Symbiosis event and we're getting these Bounty Orbs. I'm great to see that. But then it kind of took a turn for the worse in this blog post, and this is what we're really going to focus on today with this video, and kind of, I guess it's going to be a bit of a rant. I haven't done a rant in a while. Last time I did a rant was the domino change, where they basically had to change how her passive worked because they apparently did no testing to see how it worked. If you don't remember, her passive was supposed to reduce speed bar on the enemy at the start of the match, and instead it wouldn't work, so then they just boosted the speed bar for herself and X-Force allies instead. It was one of those silly things that, you know, you probably should have seen. Any sort of testing would have seen that. I think I did a mini rant on Twitch with Doc Ock and his offense down bug, because again, that was another one that really should have been easily caught. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about this future update to Greek raid traits, and this is a mess. Now, we're going to start off with talking about Pym Tech. Pym Tech, right now, Pym Tech, they look great for Dark Dimension, but that's the problem, in that they only look good for Dark Dimension. Nowhere else do they look great. So, you know, when I was doing my video talking about T4s for Pym Tech, I was mentioning how a lot of these passive T4s don't really have any worth investing in, because they're just for Dark Dimension. Like Wasp passive, it just applies immunity for 2 turns, and that's just for Dark Dimension. She gains on the 5% dodge chance. Not really a T4 you want to invest in. The same thing with Ant-Man. His passive is the chance to gain assist now, but talking about how you may want to have Yellow Jacket assist more instead of Ant-Man. And then in Dark Dimension on spawn, this character has 4 more Pym Tech allies. Apply evade to self and all Pym Tech allies. Again, that's just for Dark Dimension. So if you're never going to use Pym Tech in Dark Dimension, this T4 has a severely diminished value. And that's not the only one. You know, Stature, I believe, yeah, Stature, this is the one that's going on right now, where her max health was working outside of Dark Dimension, and then they basically fixed it to go back to what the text says. And yeah, that was kind of one of those things where people were like, but why? Like, why not just leave it? Then yeah, it's a mess. So yeah, then we get to Ghost, and this is like the one character who right now looks like is going to be a great Pym Tech character for Dark Dimension, and her passive is nuts because of all this buffs that they have with Dark Dimension. And I mean, outside Dark Dimension, it's not bad. You know, healing that ally 15% of this character's max health on a dodge, 100% chance to counterattack, 25% bonus dodge chance. But then you look at all these bonuses they get in Dark Dimension, and that's crazy. You know, apply evade to that ally, this offense down at the start of an enemy's turn, Pym Tech allies and herself gain 10% bonus speed. I mean, a lot of these effects are great, but they're just locked in Dark Dimension. And this is where players were kind of complaining about Pym Tech, is that they're great inside of, they look like they're going to be great for Dark Dimension, but outside of that, they reduce in power a lot. I mean, Ghost passive, you saw that her passive gets severely reduced outside of Dark Dimension, and that's a big problem. Ant-Man and Wasp, they don't apply the evade and immunity at the start of the fight. That could be great for some fights out there, but they're only in Dark Dimension, so you don't get that. Bonus max health here is locked. And then for this, like, the damage bonus for Pym Tech is only in Dark Dimension under Yellow Jacket. It's just, they're so locked behind Dark Dimension. And this is what players were complaining about, was that they want to invest in this team and they're feeling like there's no real point if they're not going to use it for Dark Dimension. So they asked Scopely, you know, hey, maybe take some of these passives outside of Dark Dimension, maybe make them a sort of raid team, or, you know, kind of just make them a little more useful. And that was the emphasis, was make them useful, give them some sort of usefulness. And well, Scopely heard that and promptly threw out whatever this is. And what's going on is now Pym Tech is going to be a required raid team for the Gamma raid, but they are not changing any of the passives or giving them any sort of raid bonuses for the raid. And we're already getting increased difficulty with the Gamma raid. And it's, oh man, I spent the whole weekend trying to figure out like some kind of positive to this, and I can't. I mean, I really can't. As it stands right now, Pym Tech is not going to be a really good raid team. They need more power. And also, one thing I completely forgot to mention, and I think this is going to be important to note, Ghost, her quantum explosion, yeah, like, it's for Pym Tech alone. So you've got to use a Pym Tech team with Ghost in order to get this healing. It's restricted to just Pym Tech. So it's one of these things where you have to use a Pym Tech team with Ghost to get that healing out. And here's the thing. So right now we usually are using like Kree, Ravagers, Hand, and it's on those outside lanes for Gamma. And most of the time they're okay, but some of them are a bit difficult. And now they're taking Kree, which was pretty much the best team that you could use in Gamma, and they're getting rid of him in two of the requirements, or sorry, they're getting rid of him in one of the requirements, and now they're throwing Pym Tech in. So Hand plus Kree will now become Kree plus Pym Tech. Kree plus Ravager nodes will become Pym Tech and Wakandan, which is all sorts of messed up. And then Hand, Kree, and Ravager will become Kree, Pym Tech, and Wakandan. So you're still going to be able to use Kree in a few of those nodes. You won't be able to use them in the Kree Ravager. It's now Pym Tech and Wakandan. Wakandan's still also not that great. Remember, they're supposed to be the premier raid team. Still not that good either. So now you're kind of getting forced into using Wakandan and the Pym Tech or Wakandan for this one set of nodes here, and that's no good. Kree, you'll still be able to use Kree. I mean, Minerva, Captain Marvel, Korath, that's kind of like the base of a Kree team that works okay, and that's what we've been using in Gamma, and it does all right. So the question is going to be, you know, with the increased difficulty and the inability to heal and before going to battle on each node, like, you got to have characters that can constantly heal then. Minerva was great for that, and Minerva was like the go-to Kree character because of that. Her passive was just so good, and now we're getting her where we can't use her here in this one set of nodes, and so it's gonna be a bit of a mess. We're gonna see how things go, but the big problem is we're asking for usefulness with the team. We want Pym Tech to be useful. There's a difference between making Pym Tech useful and making them required. That's not the same thing. You're basically forcing us to use Pym Tech while Pym Tech is still not good. And that is the big problem. Now, we'll see how Yellow Jacket affects this team. Yellow Jacket looks like he's going to have some crazy damage with the team, and I cannot wait to see that. But on the other hand, like, the damage, the speed, the health bonuses, all those are locked to a mode that we will not be able to use for raids. Like, we need those bonuses for Pym Tech if we're going to make those raid team. And this is where, like, if we're not going to be able to use those bonuses, we'll, in the whole game mode, at least give them raid bonuses too. And one thing I want to bring up is one team I want to kind of compare this to is going to be Symbiotes, because Symbiotes are they're sort of in the same boat in that they have raid and dark dimension bonuses, but they are still very good outside of that. In fact, like, I mean, look at this perfect host. So in Raids and Dark Dimensions, they heal for percentage of symbiote Spider-Man's max health. Symbiote allies gain 100% drain. They get some decent Raid and Dark Dimension bonuses that keep them healed up, top them off, and just make them just an unstoppable force within raids. And I'm not saying that Pym Tech has to be the same kind of thing as symbiotes, but it would be nice if Pym Tech could get some kind of buffs with that. But I mean, outside of that, you've got this bonus max health and dodge chance. I mean, look at that, 30% max health on symbiotes, and that's not locked to Raid or Dark Dimension. Can you imagine if Carnage's passive with the speed bar boost and healing was locked to Raids and Dark Dimension? Like, that would severely hamper the symbiote team. And that's kind of what's going on here, is that they're severely hampering the Pym Tech team and outside of Dark Dimension, where they're gonna have all these bonuses in Dark Dimension, and you're gonna run that a couple times with Pym Tech. You're gonna get your bonuses, and you're never gonna use them again. And this is the big problem: is symbiotes work great because their kit was built to function in any game mode and have some solid bonuses within Dark Dimension and Raids that take them up to a whole nother level, but they're still at a good enough level on their own that they're one of the top teams. Again, Pym Tech does not have to be one of the top teams in the game, but it would be nice if we could get some of these bonuses for Pym Tech to go to just other modes. Like, this offense down is nuts. Like, I would love to see that outside of Dark Dimension. So, yeah, I mean, the Friday night when this news broke, we basically, I messaged Wolverthor. I was like, man, they really screwed up our feedback for Pym Tech. And then he messaged me back, hey, get in Envoy chat because it's going down. And 3 of us proceeded to just kind of sound off on Scopely because, yeah, it's a big mess with Pym Tech. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, that's going to be it for this. Let me know what you guys think about this stuff with Pym Tech and the news. Do you guys agree with it? Do you guys think they need to get more bonuses? Let me know down below. But as always, make sure that like button, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.